And yeah, we've got a pretty, I would say, an exciting match, I think, if you're a Houston fan, because for the longest time, Houston would be going into a match like this, and the expectation would be, it's a bit there, it's a bit here, pretty 50-50, but currently the consensus seems to be everyone's expecting Houston to come out top in this match, and that doesn't mean it's not going to be a match worth watching, because still early days for the Paris Eternal, of course.
And that's the thing. It is so early on in the season for both of these teams. And our expectations coming into the season weren't enormously high for the Houston Outlaws. If you believed in the Scrimbucks, they were doing a lot better than community consensus, but people didn't really expect them to be able to beat the Shock. So the question for me now, for the Houston Outlaws, is can they sustain this? And a win over the Paris Eternal here today, if you are one of the best teams in the North American region, these are the kind of wins that you should just be able to mop up. And that, I think, is going to pose a bit of a question for this match. Can the Houston Outlaws, with this roster that they're fielding here today, a very standard roster for the Houston Outlaws, can they get a comfortable victory over Paris? Or does the team fall back into the ways of former years where they struggle against weaker or perceived weaker teams in their region? I think the consistency question has yet to be answered for any team at the moment in the Overwatch League. And so it's going to be one that keeps getting posed over and over again, especially for franchises that have been a bit here and there in the past.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think that's going to be the core takeaway from this one as well, is seeing if the Outlaws can... we've seen them play up to the competition in the form of the Shock and, and besting them. But when they're going up against some of the weaker teams, and we've already seen Paris play, and let's take a look at the starting lineup as well, it could be a different tale entirely. Now, obviously, Houston... yeah, go ahead, Josh.
Well, Brent, the other thing that I wanted to mention here as well is that Paris Eternal is 1-0. They've only played one match, and they were actually able to come out with a win. So it's too early to label them as a weak team in the region as well. Yes, the expectations were not high. Yes, these guys don't have the most experience in the world. But after that first map against the Vancouver Titans, they started heating up. They played better as the series went on. And how much of that is to do with nerves or first match inexperience? And where is the true level of the Paris Eternal? Again, these are questions we just simply don't have the answer to just yet. And this match is going to give us some idea.
For sure, yeah. I completely agree with you in that aspect as well. And that idea of, I think, the first match of your season can often be the ones where, it's where the nerves are lying, and it's where you're not really playing like you usually do in practice, for example. We're going to be heading into Nepal as the first map, and that's where we're going to be seeing these teams clash. Now, from what we've seen of the Houston Outlaws, they seem very competent in terms of their decision-making when they're playing the rush compositions and that sort of thing. Where do you see, Josh, if we're going into this with the assumption that Houston obviously are the favourites and Paris being the underdogs, what do you see as some of the, I suppose, the keys to victory then for the Paris Eternal moving forwards into this series?
I think the desk brought up a really fundamental thing to be paying attention to in this match. How does the tank line actually match up, and specifically the main tanks? Chengdu has got the better end of most of the main tanks that he's played against so far, and that's incredible for a rookie player coming in. Can he sustain that level? Can he adapt to playing on ping? Because remember, this is a high ping game because they're playing against the Paris Eternal. And what does Dan look like, too? We saw a lot of mistakes come out from Dan in that game, the one that they just played previously, but at the end of the day, he managed to muscle it past and get the better end of Shredlock. So coming in here, he's got a lot of improvement to do, but we've seen Dan, he's been a solid player within contenders. Can he bring the same level that Chengdu has brought to his opening matches? That would be a tough task.
Absolutely it would. I mean, just to sing the praises of Chengdu and Piggy a little bit more, I know the desk was hammering at home, but these guys have seriously coming into the league, and they've come in swinging, and you can see both these teams doing just that immediately. Getting off of the bat, Chengdu falling very low, but the team is there to support him. You can see Happy with the beam. The Symmetra damage is far too much to overcome. Dante with the assist onto that one as Onigod will be falling. Happy being the primary damage dealer at the moment. They're just trying to take him out of the fight, but a nice stun comes out onto Dan, drops him to the deck. Maybe in the accretion, maybe in the counter charge. Not too sure about that one, but it matters not because the Houston Outlaws will be cleaning up this team fight quite easily.
Gorgeous reactive play from Houston. Chengdu goes in so deep at the beginning off the back of that charge, and they are forced to use the Immortality Field early on from Crimzo. But Houston are so good at eating up aggression. When Paris tried to punish Chengdu for his perceived overextension, Houston are all there, and Happy is just charged up. He already has his ultimate, Brent. The Sim already has the ult.
It's ridiculous. And the Matrix goes down, but it's already the preemptive war. The Sim Wall comes up as well to block all this damage. So the ultimate is completely negated. Django's in trouble here. The Immortality Field got destroyed. He has to play a bit more safe. They have to absorb the aggression a bit more, but that just creates an opening for Happy to strike. As Neptuno will fall, Dante follows up with a second. Crimzo as well, just keeping his team topped up, applying in that consistent damage. The Shatter blocked as well. Wonderful reactions considering that they're playing on ping as well. That is very impressive from Django, and another nicely won team fight by the Houston Outlaws.
Yeah, that was fantastic there from Django, but also Dante died at the beginning of that engagement and still managed to come back into the fight and pick off Naga. So he was coming back off the respawn. That's another great factor of how slow the Houston Outlaws play, and I don't mean that as an insult in the slightest. They're just excellent at absorbing the aggression and making sure that any of your aggressive play gets punished. Even 5v6 there. Here you can see Paris on the low ground. Houston with so many ultimates to be able to invest in this fight. They're just going to continue to do damage, back it up, bait them in, and probably catch them with a blizzard at some point here. It's the Flux they go for, actually.
Poking, seeing if they can find any weaknesses here. Now the Flux is going to get counteracted here by the sound barrier, but Houston get a much better one off. Big Earth Shatter comes out from Django, connecting onto 2 targets. They've gone down. Still a winnable scenario though for the Paris Eternal. They just need to stay alive and consolidate their players. Now the symbol goes up. The Shatter is going to connect onto Piggy, but his team is there to try and save him, especially Happy. This guy has just been putting out so much consistent damage, and as the overtime burns, it's looking futile for the Paris Eternal. Overtime will be ticking down eventually. Might just be able to get a TP or a Wrecking Ball into the point, not quite. Boop's back, so round 1 will be going towards the Houston Outlaws.
Just stellar play from Houston. I had so many doubts about this team coming into the season, and they've turned them all around within a week. It's absolutely outrageous. I'm also slowly coming around to the idea of running these Rhine Sigma compositions as well. It's always hard when you first see a season and see these comps that are getting played, because obviously the teams have been playing them for a long time. They understand how all the compositions work. It seems to me like a fast-paced team should be able to punish Piggy on the Sigma, but because Houston are so good with their disengages, with their defensive positioning, they almost use Piggy as bait in some of these fights, and he just continues to apply consistent pressure and gives Dante another safe shield to play behind on the Sim. This time though, Dante on the Doom Fist, running May Doom. The Dallas Fuel would be proud. Texas coming out with some stuff.
We'll see what Dante's able to do here, and I mean it can be pretty brutal, I think, playing against the Doom Fist on this particular section of Nepal, because it's very tight, close corridors. You can see that there's opportunities for him to get a punch off. You can see the wall comes up here. They're trying to punish them, but unfortunately the Houston Outlaws way too quick. The Immortality Fields are traded out again, keeping a lot of these players alive, but that's the danger. Playing right into Dante's hand as he just smashes directly into Neptuno, follows it up with another little quick kill down to Khan. And the Houston Outlaws with just a dominance over the battlefield right now. Getting these stagger kills is just a cherry on top.
Yeah, poor Elimo. You're not going to be able to survive. Unlucky.
That's morbid.
That's morbid.
You just let that one sit there
it?
for a second. Yeah.
I mean, it becomes more morbid, Bren, when we're seeing the players' faces as well. This is really new to the Overwatch League, seeing the player reactions to having the Pilot Diva be stalled. And I can't help it. It tugs on my heartstrings every time. I empathize with them. Let's take a look at what Houston do to engage here as well. It's interesting seeing Dante play this role. Fire Strike already used here, so not actually comboed with the Amp Matrix.
A bit of miscommunication there, actually. Yeah, the Amp Matrix went down and the Fire Strike came out just a little bit too late, and Crimzo goes down, but they want to commit. Sound Barrier, Juby wants to use it. Blizzard's going to be used now from the Paris Eternal, as Naga just tries to lock up these players, potentially get a kill or two. The Meteor Strike from Dante is doing a decent amount of damage, but look at that Sim Wall, soaking up so much damage now for the Paris Eternal. Do not tell me the Houston Outlaws are still going to try and win this one. What an Earth Shatter! Django into the Sim Shield, still manages to find it onto 2 targets. And the Houston Outlaws, Crimzo died at the beginning of that fight, but he's already back, ready and waiting, healing the players up, putting in the damage from afar.
The rookie Shatter God is at it again. It's unbelievable. Django is a monster. He finds... He doesn't just land great Earth Shatters, they are always team fight winning Earth Shatters as well. Ones that his team could follow up on, perfectly timed to be able to deliver the victory. And now he's holding close again. They want to put the pressure on Dan. They get the freeze and force out the immortality feed early on, but that one's just too late from Crimzo. Jangu falls.
It's a nice shadow from Darn. They might just keep them into this one, but you can see Houston just backing off to the point now. The Ice Wall comes up as well. It's going to be separating up the Pirates Eternal, but they are getting the picks off the back of this one now. Only a couple of players remain, and eventually the Pirates Eternal will overcome the Houston Outlaws, and they get their capture. But they've got a long, long way to go.
Yeah, the player that I'm looking at for Paris is Onigon. He's playing the McCree. Now Dante actually swaps. I was going to talk about how the McCree is so good at being able to put pressure on the Doomfist now that they're in control of the point. Dante's already recognized that, and this symmetric teleport is going to be imperative to be able to get them onto fast positions where they don't take poke from Onigon. Let's see where they go for. Yep, straight to the point. Maywall goes up as well, blocks Naga out from using any kind of counter wall, and can't force.
Yep. And there's a first-hand POV, I think, of seeing just the sheer damage that the Maywall can do. And this is looking just about over here. The Houston Outlaws, it felt like they weren't even sweating in this match so far. Map 1 will be going their way. And I'll tell you, Josh, honestly, I think the general community consensus, I think a lot of people were quite high up on Houston. Me and you, we weren't that high up on Houston. I'm happy to admit that now because, God, it is such a good feeling to have a dominant NA team alongside the likes of the Shock, potentially Washington, who we might be seeing later on today. It's early days yet in this series, of course, still opportunities for Paris. But it's always exciting when you see something really come together, like a mixture of veteran and rookie talent like Houston.
Yeah, it simply is fantastic, and it's what Texas has been waiting for forever, honestly. Well, we'll see whether the Houston Outlaws are able to continue this dominance moving forwards after this quick break.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest and fastest 5G network. Set your sights on the competition with T-Mobile. And by Indeed, we help people get jobs. The Overwatch League is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official refreshment of the Overwatch League, and by IBM, the official cloud and AI partner of the Overwatch League.
Do you guys believe in miracles? Because I surely do. Let's go for Houston Outlaws, baby.
God,
Let's go!
no.
Houston,
I will not stand for this, Danny.
Woo!
The prophecy is true.
These two teams really feel like there's some serious history. And Super's looking for the MTD. Instead, he's the one that gets the MTD.
I got shot here.
Super absolutely furious, and San Francisco shell-shocked. Happy with a nasty off angle, puts so much pressure on the Shock, it forces them to play inside of a shoebox here on point A. Happy, the menace. Was that the bunny hop shatter attempt from Super? He gets forward that, absolutely disgusting. San Francisco able to hold on here, and we have a draw in our second map. The Outlaws, of course, they have Jake coming in at support. Oh,
beautiful play.
You love to see it. Jake Lyon, take a bow. That's about all she wrote. The Outlaws deliver a stunning suplex to the Shock here on Dorado. Houston looking to end the series now. And Happy strikes once more. He is doing it all right now, this man. 3 kills from Happy and a 4. No one can stop him. 5 kills to put San Francisco 6 feet under. San Francisco, again, digging their heels in. And San Francisco Shock hold on, and I mean it only just. Everything we love about the Overwatch League is on display right now. There's going to be a flash. Oh my God! San Francisco could be in the midst of one of the greatest comebacks we have ever seen. I cannot believe this! San Francisco, they're forcing a decided map. What is this? The Outlaws now, I mean, to say they're sweating is putting it lightly. Absolute bullets. And overtime keeps going. The Outlaws can't touch. Oh no! No more opportunities, no more second chances. The Shock, they have one fight to repeat the reverse sweep. Chengdu Hunters.
If this works.
Oh my God! The Outlaws have done it! We thought they'd be kissing the ring, but they forced the Kings to bend the knee! The Outlaws reign supreme!
Let's go. Good job, everyone.
Welcome back, everybody, after the break. And as you can see here with our power rankings with IBM, Watson, Django and Piggy sitting right up near the top here. And I mean, if you were listening to the Watchpoint pre-show as well, we had Ben Troutman, of course, who was talking through how the modeling works with IBM Watson, and around 100 being kind of like the normalized average. You can see these guys, Piggy and Django, really performing at the top here, just below those top spots, just outside of the top 5. For a rookie tank line, this is honestly astounding.
It certainly is, yeah. And the IBM Watson power rankings are only going to improve the more data that's inputted into them, right? These are still early days for this kind of stuff. I don't know whether any of you have ever tried to make your own predictions, but they're always better the more data you actually have available. Here we see KSF subbing in for Dante too, so a KSF and a Happy DPS line as we head into our next map. That's going to be an interesting one. I'm excited to see this next one coming up. It's Havana. And we've already, I mean, you just watched a video where it all got closed out on Havana.
Yeah, absolutely as well. And it's interesting because talking about our map leaderboards here presented by Xfinity, you can see we're going to take a trip down memory lane. It's not so pleasant, though, Houston fans. It's when the Houston Outlaws played against the Fusion. You can see the Fusion scored a 3-minute 43 time bank against them. Yeah, I mean, I imagine that when you want to think of Havana, the Houston fans probably want to be thinking of their game the other day against the Shock, rather than this one.
Exactly, exactly.
There is your tie-in.
Different team, doesn't matter. We've wiped it from my memory.
Exactly, yeah.
Texan Overwatch begins in 2021. There was no history before this. Nothing happened. It's just excellent gameplay.
This is the inaugural season of the Overwatch League, if you're in Texas.
Now, the interesting thing, though, about the roster that's being fielded here today, if we want to tie it back into that Shock game, is that Dante was playing alongside Happy. And we saw the Houston Outlaws, right? Playing the May, playing the McCree, trying to, push forwards and get that space and battle against the San Francisco Shock. But Houston were close to losing anyway, right? They got full health, and they had to fuller hold in order to win on Havana, and both teams managed to lock the other out of point A. So perhaps this is a bit of adaptation to open up other compositions. I don't really know. But what I am confident in is we're going to see something slightly different here from Houston compared to their shock match. Because otherwise they would have just run the same roster.
Yeah, potentially. They may also, I mean, it happens very rarely, which is why, I mean, I don't like to mention it too much on the broadcast, but sometimes you also just want to put people in these situations in real-life matches, right? As opposed to just scrims, you know, to give them a bit of you know, experience when it's the reps. Not to say that KSF is an inexperienced player. Could be something to do with that. You see the Paris Eternal are actually going to be, they're going to be holding close to the gate here with this rush competition. And again, you're going to be trying to dive straight into them, taking this early team fight. Happy so low, but it's Dan who ends up going down first. The Immortality Field from Crimzo was timed just right to keep him alive. Gorgeous. And now, only a couple of players left remaining here for the Paris Eternal. Elevo just trying to stall out as much time as possible. No one's really keeping an eye on Happy, and he is just going to be tracking them all down. And it's a clean team fight win here for the Houston Outlaws.
And this style of play is so good from Houston. Just pocketing Happy, even when he becomes so close to death. Crimzo is there with the Immortality Field, just ensuring that their Symmetra vomits out huge amounts of damage at all times throughout the team fight. And he's outpacing Onigot in these close-range engagements.
It really is. You can see they actually TP'd Piggy up to the high ground. They noticed that Paris are actually going all the way around. So this is a full wraparound now, and the Symbol is going to be used to potentially engage now for the Houston Outlaws. Great ice wall. KSF going to be locking up a lot of these members, and Paris are caught against the wall as it stands. The Gravitic Flux gets sent straight up, straight back down again. It's a ton of damage, but the Paris Eternal are bearing it right now as it stands, comes through, down with the Shatter. He connected onto a couple of targets there, but there was no follow-up, and now he's getting his ankle broken indoors by this teleporter. Happy just running rings around them. Houston Outlaws doing a wonderful job of just kiting backwards and waiting for the spawners to get back. And it felt like they were losing this team fight, yet the players are already back here, Josh.
Yeah, Paris, though, are going to get another opportunity to contest, but pushing into KSF's Blizzard, that's going to be difficult. Dan has been caught as well. Can he get saved? Yeah, by the Immortality Field coming out from Khan. And there we go, Onigot finding the pick. Getting that headshot onto KSF is going to be crucial here. No more walls to have to deal with, no more pressure on Dan. And Khan again with another Ant Matrix in back-to-back team fights, just to relieve some pressure.
So much pressure being applied to Django. You can see Onigot just taking these off angles. The Shatter comes out from Django. I don't believe it connected onto anyone. Gravitic Flux is going to be committed, but there's not too many players alive. Piggy does not have many teammates to try and support him here, so yeah, instant disengage. We're backing off here. We've seen this before many times of Havana. When it gets to this particular point, it's always hard for the attackers to just try and take a good, solid teamfight engagement and win this one out. How many holds have we seen here, Josh?
Yeah, a lot. And Houston have struggled with it too. They got held here against the Shock. They almost got held by the Dallas Fuel when Dallas were running that double shield defense too. Here comes a bomb. Elevote into the backline. Actually helps to convert onto Django. Yeah, with Crimzo's Immortality Field being perhaps a little too late there.
Huge self-destruct as well, and now they can just pressure down the rest of the DPS. They no longer have Django to really anchor around. Arsenal looking pretty strong. A lot of ults as well to keep holding this one now. 50 seconds remaining. It's likely that we really only have one more team fight left for Houston, depending on how quick they go.
Happy has now swapped over to the McCree, allows him to take slightly longer range engagements. And that's crucial because Houston was struggling to close the gap for Happy to actually do damage before getting Django brutalized. They're going to have to LOS this Ant Matrix, just back off, give it the respect that it deserves. Khan, by the way, is generating these at a rapid rate, managing to do healing, do damage in the middle of the team fight, and get those Ant Matrices online. Some say there is no lower half of his head. He's only eyebrows enough.
Some say. KSF though, what an opening. The Icicle onto Onigot, presumably trying to take a bit of an over-aggressive flank. He's been doing it often. KSF with another one from across the map. Khan's gone down, and now the Paris Eternal have to commit ultimates into this. KSF uses the Blizzard, but ate up by Elevote. The Shatter now as well. Maybe clutchable for the Paris Eternal here. The overtime's coming through. They'd love to stop Houston before they can get this one, but ultimately not going to be happening. As you can see, it's only a matter of time now, and the Houston Outlaws just about squeak through that checkpoint A and going to be working towards the middle section of the map.
Exceptionally close for Paris there. They nearly locked out Houston in a similar manner to the Shock. And then again, it didn't work for the shock. But Paris are now going to be in a difficult position because Houston, having taken that first checkpoint, are now on the high ground. This is a good position for Piggy to do damage, for Crimzo to spam. They've actually got a decent amount of poke, even in this comp, which you normally think of as being very close range. Deadeye engaged though with the speed boost. I like this. They're going to be able to push past the Matrix. And there's Juby just on the payload, minding his own business.
Caught out of position. Oh, Happy's found an opening though. Flashbang off to the side, quick little left click. And now he's at a bit of an off angle. Still, he might not want to try and take this fight. His team is just being minced through the choke point. And yeah, lost way too many here. Has to back off and rethink how they engage this one. And it's been a bit of a reoccurring... Okay, that's unfortunate. Yeah, having to use the self-destruct so we can get back into the mech.
Stagger Happy. So, but I think Elevo would have really liked his self-destruct for one of these fights. Having said that, though, we're talking about checkpoint B at Havana. The Diva Bomb engages are not going to be the most useful things in the world. It's not like on A where it's such a big open space. Houston are always going to have places to hide from that, so not the worst thing in the world by any means.
They've got Juby just trying to push this card for the time being. You can see the Matrix comes up now for Khan. Fire Strike is online as well. That is troubling, but Dan ends up missing it. Immortality Field also burnt quickly for Houston. 50 seconds remaining now. Neither side really gaining an advantage in this fight, but Houston are building up the ultimates. Huge boop. It's going to be pushing them away. So the Blizzard, there's going to be no follow-up, but look at this. They managed to separate Dan. He's down onto the low ground. The heals are immense, but not enough. Piggy using the Gravitic Flux as well, just to catch the stragglers, the tail end of the Paris Eternal as they were trying to back away. Not enough. And as this entire thing was happening, Josh, as well, the cart was steadily getting pushed as well.
Yeah, that's a fantastic play to isolate Dan. They used the Blizzard, and then I think it was a boop coming out. I'm going to assume from Juby, though, I didn't really see it accurately. And Dan fell off the high ground and ended up being completely isolated. Paris is still going to try and contest this. Great wall from KSF, but Naga has dropped onto the point.
Oh, potential final fight here. Chengdu has a shadow. We've seen him work magic with them before. Happy with a Deadeye from afar. No one was able to contest him. Elevo had to back off. He was falling so low. So there was no defense matrix to save him. A couple of players now just dropping their bodies onto the carts and just buy as much time as possible. The Outlaws again capturing through just about a minute and a half now to work with as they're working towards point C.
There's a big difference, though, between their checkpoint A attack and their checkpoint B. Houston Outlaws were getting beaten back when they were on their first offense. During B, in those close quarters engagements, once they got momentum, they just kept it going the entire way through. And this is the problem for Paris. Yeah, you're doing a good job at taking time off the clock, but eventually you need to be converting on these fights. And Houston, again, have taken advanced positioning. They control this mini citadel.
They do. They've got one player on the cart just steadily pushing it. It's Juby, actually, back and forth. Now you see the Blizzards coming out. No freeze up onto Dan. Happy finding that kill. Oh, the ultimate got 8 there as well. The Blizzard. I believe that was Piggy with the grass taking away that one. It's going to be another win here for the Houston Outlaws. The Matrix not getting the work they were hoping for. Great counterpin as well from Django. Just need to clean up Onigod. And now, God, how many times have I said this? Final fight, it seems, for 20 seconds for the Houston Outlaws pushing this one in.
But they still have so many ultimates and advanced positions. KSF in the match chat. You want me? You want me? You'll have to work for it. I love that.
The off angle taken here.
Flux is so good.
Yep, self-destruct as well. They need something to follow up on this, but they're just investing ultimates and not really getting any ground or positioning. The card's moving forwards, and Paris, they can't play into this because the Matrix is laid down. Eventually it's going to fade, but they've got to go now, and Happy takes full advantage. Django laying down the shadow. Both the tanks are on the deck, and it's not an ideal situation for the Paris Eternal, but Houston, they just made it look comfortable. 3 checkpoints gained, and honestly, Havana, that is pretty damn good.
That is extremely good, especially when you consider that Paris were inches away from being able to full hold them before they'd even got A. That's, yeah, that's a snowball and a half from the Houston Outlaws. Paris just weren't really able to win a decisive team fight. They did have some interesting ideas. I don't know whether everybody caught it at home, but when Houston had set up in that high ground position inside the house on checkpoint C, Paris walled everybody up. They walled their tank line up on top of the May wall in order to be able to fight them in the high ground.
Take a look at the
KSF
replay here. This is,
Yeah.
these
got
headshots from
nasty
KSF.
snipes.
They opened up everything. I'm not gonna lie. This was looking pretty sketchy. Houston didn't have any ultimates. It was all, I mean, just absurd. And these individual moments that you see from the DPS players, that's where, with the rush compositions, I think you see the most impact. When there's no ultimates, a pick-off is really what you need. And you can see KSF just delivering.
Yeah, like I said earlier, it's been Dante who's been playing the May for them when it comes to Havana so far. He played against Dallas, he played against Shock. So KSF coming in, I was expecting something different. But I think you were right, Bren, with what you said earlier. It's about getting their players' playtime. And KSF, he's no slouch on the May either. He's able to play the May, able to play the Doomfist like we've seen earlier on from Dante in the series. They have a wealth of DPS players that they can play in these kind of flex positions.
Yeah. Paris being caught out here. It's a great wall. Down. He's caught against the wall. We get healed up though. Paris just hesitant to take the first move, but look at that. Fire strike onto Happy. Goes straight through the shield and snipes him down. The Houston Outlaws, obviously their one goal here is to just try and stave off as much time as humanly possible off the card, off the objective. They are going to be losing this team fight eventually as Paris have the better spawners coming in. Hopefully for Paris, they can build up a bit of ultimate charge now moving forward. You can see Dan is close to that Earth Shatter, very close. Khan already with the Amp Matrix as well. These are crucial ultimates for trying to break through this really, really stalwart defense that typically you see teams do at the end of Checkpoint A.
Yeah, and I would have thought that Paris would try and push forward and deny the high ground here away from the Houston Outlaws. But with Houston running this Sigma composition, it looks like they don't even want to do that classic wraparound up the staircase and drop onto it. Flip the map. Instead, taking a very straight up fight. And that shadow from Dart. That is a lovely one. Crimson
straight round the corner.
Uses immortality field. But it's not enough.
Holy moly. Yeah, I mean, that was... We've seen a lot of Earth Shatters from Darn. We've seen this EU Reinhardt tank sort of coming into play. I mean, these guys, when they play ranked, they are literally forged to the fires of better, you know, I'm not going to say better players, but other tanks who are very competent. I mean, it's pretty hard, and these guys more than ready. But as I said that, I'm going on and on and on. Jagu just wants to show me up here. The Earth Shatter comes through, 2 players down. And the recontest comes through. Elevote, though, with 2 picks. It's going to make it hard for them. Swinging through. Django will eventually be taken down. The Past Eternal split up the Houston Outlaws as they tried to recontest that one. A lot of time on the clock for Paris to work with now.
Great positions from Paris as Houston were coming back out. They got into the backline really quickly. The first couple of kills in that fight were Elevote finishing off Crimzo and then also being able to get Happy. Let's take another look though at this Earth Shatter because this is the one that really got checkpoint A for them. Around the sun.
That is absurd.
Not able to react. Yeah.
What is
That's
that?
really nice.
The fight continues, obviously. Match at hand, 4 minutes for Paris now. All opened up from Dan. He's got another Shatter, by the way. The potential is there. Amp Matrix comes through. Might be able to get a Fire Strike just around the corner if the corner of that wall goes. No, they're just going to use it to obviously obtain a bit of space and positioning. The South Destruct comes through. Doesn't catch onto any targets because Houston, again, just playing very, very tight, close together here. Accretion going to be missing from Piggies. He's trying to put in a bit of that consistent damage now, and he's going to try and deny Onigot from this off angle. Gravitic Flux is going to be used instantly in response to the sound barrier engage, and it stops so much. Django with the Earth Shatter as well. What a combo. This tank duo, the synergy is just off the charts, and you can see it just coming to life in these games. The Past Eternal with only a couple of players left. Naga with no more Ice Block to try and contest this one. They're going to be stopped just short, but they do still have time.
It's beautiful. The whole of Houston, they have the same ideas of what they need to do and how they need to combo their abilities to be able to get that happening. KSF uses the Blizzard to open up space and allow them to get out of that tiny room that they shuttered themselves inside of. And then as the beat engage comes through, like you described, the flux into the Shatter is just gorgeous. Now Paris is put in a tough position as Happy speed boost Deadeyes towards them. Onigod with the response as well, that could be huge. Forces out the immortality field actually from Crimzo. Yep. So a small advantage for Paris in the fight now.
Actually got a ton of shield damage as well onto Django. I believe he was holding it up. But they reset it long enough now. Again, tempering this aggression. The Amp Matrix from afar. The Ice Wall is going to be blocking them off. Blizzard used in close quarters. Naga just about getting the catch up here onto Django. And he's locked against it. Unable to really move backwards or forwards. Still, the Houston Outlaws looking to try and turn this one in their favor, especially that immortality field. Crimzo just saving KSF. walking backwards a little bit, but they need to start contesting this cart. They don't have anyone really left. KSF, perfect ability usage. He's bought him a bit of time, but the longer this goes, the better it's looking for the Paris Eternal, as Onigod is just cleaning them up from afar. The Blizzard is going to be committed into this fight, but not enough. You can see them capturing it.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of an atrocious Blizzard usage, to be honest. It's probably not going to hurt them in the long run, but then again, Paris have 3 minutes left on the clock, so that Blizzard would have been useful in one of these later team fights, and KSF essentially threw it in, like 2v4, 1v3, something like that. So, very, very unlikely that it was going to be able to turn it around. But hey, that's what the best teams do. They use their ultimates to try and turn unwinnable situations into winnable ones.
Oh, Happy was just getting tracked as well. He didn't realize that the Deadeye could see him. Onigod holding it perfectly as the jump shot was going. Houston, they don't want to fight this. Yeah.
Happy's a dangerous Widowmaker as well. That's what he's most known for. This season he's been playing a ton more stuff, but Happy's Widow is really what he cut his teeth on.
Onigod and his flanks as well every time. They're aware of this one. Going to be going straight into them here. The shot's not connecting. That is a wonderful peel from Piggy. The Gravitic Flux is going to be going straight up, but the Paris Eternal, they want to answer ultimate for ultimate. Dan moves in, and look at those long-range icicles. Naga finding so much value. The cart rolling forwards, the ice wall stopping them all. Piggy moving over to the ball now. Pile Driver just about contesting this one. Houston not out of it just yet. Pasatona needs to be focusing down these players. The South Destruct comes through. Save Django with the Shadow only connecting onto one, and now the Blizzard comes through from Naga once more. The players from the Houston Outlaws, they have to try and touch, they have to try and contest this one, but they've just been locked in place. Naga falls again though. How has Piggy not been taken out yet? This is ridiculous, and the longer this goes, the worse it looks for Paris. Still, Onigod under the Tracer, trying to clutch this one up now, but the Spawners are coming back in for the Houston Outlaws. Javi as well on the Widowmaker from Spawn. Neptuno desperately trying to win the 1v1. The support diff comes through, but Happy is still there, and nobody is taking care of him.
Elevote's trying desperately, but while Elevote is here, he's not on the objective, and eventually Paris, they have to call it off. How on earth did the Houston Outlaws turn that?
That is ridiculous.
I mean, that
Piggy
was such
bought
a
them
nice push
so
from Paris
much time.
Eternal. Yeah, that is crazy that no one was able to take out Piggy. Piggy and Crimzo just running around, stalling the point out alongside KSF's Tracer towards the end. Paris still have one last chance. Minute left on the clock, and a boosted Rhine.
Yeah, Dan's going to just keep swinging here. He's going to be able to get a lot of work done. The Immortality Field falls. Sound barrier by Juby just to keep him alive. And Django just kiting backwards. Can't believe he stayed alive that long. Flick of the wrist from Dan. And the Fire Strike will catch on to Piggy. Finally taking him out. Earth Shatter might not even be necessary. KSF though trying to clutch it up with the Pulse Bomb. Collects one, but not enough. Paris Eternal capturing it now. They're going to have a slightly better time bank moving forward, so just salvaging that one. Looking a little bit shaky, and I know that the Paris Eternal just got a better time bank, but I'm going to gush a little bit for Piggy for a moment as well, just in actually making that even more winnable than it actually should have been. Multiple times he's been perfect with the Gravitic Fluxes to just peel away from the rest of his team. The response has been immaculate in some sense, and just being able to stall it out as well, so that this time bank from Paris wasn't just disastrous. I really got to give so much credit to the tank line.
Sure, but for as well as the Houston Outlaws have played here, and they have played well, Paris have been the better team when it comes to Havana so far. They almost got a full point A hold on the Houston Outlaws when they were on defense, and then their attacking side, they were actually able to combo their ultimates really nicely to go all the way through the map. And that one mistake with KSF using his Blizzard in a completely unwinnable fight, I think KSF would have loved to have that Blizzard for some defensive point C. That could have won them the game, to be honest. Those small mistakes are going to come back and bite Houston if they can't clean that up. Paris look comfortable here. And while we have a couple of seconds as well before the next round, that final push with the Paris Eternal taking the underneath route of Havana C, and then speed boosting up the side with Onigod trying to whack Crimzo's head off, the former Dallas teammates going at each other. That was a really nice push. Paris know what they're doing on Havana.
They seem very comfortable when they're playing these rush compositions, and you can see them taking, again, another early team fight, clashing, brawling into them. First casualty will be KSF, and they managed to essentially hunt down Happy as well in the middle of this one. Paris Eternal winning this first team fight, not losing a single soul. Very, very promising for them now, because the card has not moved an inch.
Certainly hasn't. And this is the problem. Houston need to be able to break this one. And it all comes down to getting a single pick. Look at this, down in so aggressively.
Yeah.
The Houston Outlaws have disengaged. Using the teleporter, look at that.
The shield just about misses. Catching onto the one, the counterpin as well, and Dan is safely in the immortality field as well. 10 seconds remaining. The Paris Eternal.
No picks.
Again, this team so competent when it comes to the rush compositions, and they are really showcasing what they can do here against the Houston Outlaws. TP and Matrix going down just to try and break the ankles once more. Neptuno will fall. It is overtime. Only got still off on the flank, but this time the Houston Outlaws have a pretty good sense of how this team fight's going to be going. They need to clean up the rest of these players though. Onigod will fall, and they're just going to be buying a bit more extra time now. But the Paris Eternal can certainly be incredibly pleased with this one, forcing the overtime before the Houston Outlaws get out of the spawn door.
That is fantastic, don't get me wrong, but it all comes down to this next engagement. Houston could get so much momentum if they're actually able to use the ultimates that they're going to have, the incredible flux and the barrier potential here with Piggy playing up on the high ground. That could dominate Paris. So this is the fight that decides Havana right here, probably.
Christian from afar, not going to be connecting. Gravitic Flux catches, that's a Deadeye right up, but it's being blocked by the Symbol. Immortality field committed very early on as the Blizzard also comes out from Naga. Looking to see if he can seal it away and potentially stop this push before it gets out of hand. But currently the Outlaws are the ones with the huge advantage. Django swinging away. Only got shut down again. No more consistent damage. And as the DMEC comes through, the Houston Outlaws are gaining a bit of speed and a bit of traction. The momentum is on their sides. And with the overtime spawners as well, it's not likely that the Paris Eternal are going to be able to contest this one before it sails into checkpoint A.
No chance whatsoever. Dan falling at the beginning of that engagement was brutal. Neptuno tried to use his sound barrier, but it just wasn't enough. Looks like Paris want to fight them here. As soon as they come through the choke, a bit of indecision actually. They can't decide where they want to take the engagement. Oh God, we saw this so often against the Vancouver Titans.
Oh, it could be brutal for them. Oh, Piggy! Unbelievable peel from Piggy, recognizing that Juby was in trouble, but it's not over just yet. They need to try and fight a little bit harder here. Paris Eternal trying to stop them, but Django again lays it down, finds so much value, but no follow-up. A lot of players stopped in their tracks, and they might just have been able to, yes they did, they caught Dan out of position with that ice wall, and the overtime push continues here, Josh.
They're so smart. I love that. Yesterday, we were talking through some of the lower-level teams in North America where they were using their Earth Shatters and immediately running in to try and mop up the kills. That's not what Houston does. Couple of players are on the ground. They take the advantage in the team fight. Here we go to watch a replay, but that next engagement looks like it was about to kick off too. This was Crimzo just being able to slaughter players, cleaning up what was perhaps the most pivotal team fight. But here we go, back into it.
Continues again. Gravitic Flux being built up early here by Piggy. Again, using it, forces out the Immortality field. The Matrix from afar. And they've broken a couple of these shields now with the consistent damage. Flashbang connects. Look at this. Dan dropping down from the top rope with the Earth Shatter. Goes for the pin. The counter charge comes out as Django is going to be trading it out. But it looks like the Paris Eternal have a complete control over the battlefield. Only a couple of players from Houston remaining. It's very difficult for them to overcome it. And the Paris Eternal stopping them dead center right now of checkpoint B.
I'm going to be honest though, Houston Outlaws, they are going to be so happy with that. After Paris held them at their door until overtime, Houston are able to get halfway through checkpoint B. That should not happen. That is the power of momentum. When you get those ultimates up on board and you're able to win that pivotal fight where everybody invests. And if you're the team that ends up coming out on the wrong end of that, you are I think at the whim of the other.
A large part of this as well is that Onigod has been again taking these default flank angles. We've seen it in the series yesterday where Onigod was saving his team time and time again going on these McCree flanks. But the Houston Outlaws have adapted to it very quickly. We're in map 2 and you see Piggy consistently shutting him down, not letting him get these kills, not letting him get these early values. If Onigod had free reign there just before checkpoint A got pushed in and Juby had died, that could be the single thing that they needed to turn that fight around in their favor, and potentially they wouldn't be in this mess. But the adaptations from the Houston Outlaws is what's really cemented them in my mind right now as a top team, and they have such a winnable scenario here now. Despite the fact that the Paris Eternal have 40 seconds more than the Houston Outlaws did on their attack, now it's their turn to defend.
Happy is always going to be within perfect range to play that Symmetra here. A lot of damage coming out the side, though. I don't think they were expecting that from Onigod. That is a beautiful beginning for the Paris Eternal. You only need a single pick here. Even if everybody now dies on the Paris Eternal side, their respawns are going to be at an advantage. And slowly, one by one, the Houston Outlaws fall. And Paris are going to start it off. They don't necessarily have that same amount of momentum because the ultimates aren't at a massive state right now, but it's not bad. Not bad by any means. I mean, look at the disparity between Naga and KSF. That could be pivotal.
Truly could, yeah. And you're going to be wandering into this next fight. You know exactly what the Paris Eternal's win con is, and it's all going to be off the back of Khan. The question is, how are the Houston Outlaws going to be absorbing that aggression when that Matrix comes up? 45 seconds left now. Still on the attack. They've got to push it through just a little bit harder now. You can see the Amp Matrix comes through the wall as well. It's separated a lot of the members of the Houston Outlaws. Immortality Field comes through, but KSF goes down. Onigod, with the extra damage from that window, just about finds the kill. And look at the disengage immediately by Houston. They need to buy as much time as possible. Are they going to try and take an overtime fight, I wonder, when the doors open up?
They definitely could. There's no reason why you shouldn't. When there's only 16 seconds left on the clock, you can just wait until it gets into overtime and win that one engagement. Again, though, look at the maze. Naga is so far ahead of KSF because he's died twice. The first blood in both of these fights being the main for the Outlaws.
The Blizzard could be critical for them winning this fight out. Earth Shatter comes through. Chengdu TP behind them. I don't believe what I've just seen. Happy lays it down, breaks their ankle, slams it down, and that may have just separated it. Right now, the Blizzard from Naga might do a bit of business here, but Onigod, he seems lost. Flashbang from the side. The Sandbar are going to be giving him the health he needs to try and push this one through, but Happy is putting in so much consistent damage. And now with the Blizzard online as well, KSF finally gets it. It locks away a lot of the members of the Paris Eternal still. They are battling this one out. The spawn doors are closer. The Earth Shatter comes through, and it does connect. Only onto Crimzo, but he does survive. The Amp Matrix still there, but no one capable of standing up to this one. The Paris Eternal just about squeaking through this one, and now Houston have to be so careful to not get caught out.
Look at how far and how aggressive the Paris Eternal are pushing up. The Houston have actually swapped over to the D.Va here too. They just need to try and contest this objective. Houston spawns are so late, they're going to get battered in this doorway. How can they even get to the payload?
TP comes through, they've split them again. Django in the backline is going to start swinging, goes for the charge, but not missing this one. Self-destruct up into the sky, Elevo, that is massive. Two-piece for him, unable to be saved as the Immortality Field fell down earlier. And now only a couple of players left standing between them and their map win. The Paris Eternal evening it up 1-1, showcasing that they are competitors in this region.
Gorgeous play from Paris there towards the end. And honestly, in the whole of that map, they were in control of the tempo. Wonderful stuff. They should be extremely proud of themselves as well, but the game isn't over yet. As always, the stoic Europeans are ready for what's coming up next, always thinking about the future. And I'm replaying in my head the various different mistakes that were made by the Houston Outlaws, and I keep returning back to KSF. It might be a bit of confirmation bias because he's the player that came in, the substitute for this map instead of Dante. But KSF both had his incredible moments, like those two insane headshots to be able to win checkpoint A for them on the attack. But then he also had his downsides, his negative moments as well, where he died first at the beginning of team fights. Perhaps because of the high ping, he's trying to milk his life a bit too much before going into the ice block. And then also that thrown away Blizzard when they were defending as well. These kind of small things are really going to make the difference when you play against competitive teams. And Paris, they're proving themselves to be competitive.
A lot of people expected this to just be a clean sweep roll for the Houston Outlaws, but Paris Eternal are showcasing that they've got what it takes to compete at the very top, at least. And we're going to be finding out how this series continues on the other side of the break. Don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile. America's largest and fastest 5G network. Set your sights on the competition with T-Mobile. And by State Farm. For auto, home or renters insurance, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. The Overwatch League is brought to you by Cheez-It Grooves. So much flavor, it's a mind crunch. And by TeamSpeak, the official voice supplier of the Overwatch League.
This season, we want to see your fan artwork and showcase it on our digital fan art gallery. So continue to submit your Overwatch League inspired works for a chance to be featured each and every week. You can see the link there on your screens, overwatchleague.com/art-gallery. There you go. Spell it out for you and everything. And yeah, submit your artwork. We'd love to see it. Might be featured. You never know. But still, to the match at hand here, Josh. 1-1. What we're witnessing right now could be a bit of an upset of expectations, I think. I don't know a single person who had, you know, I suppose the Paris Eternal winning this match one, but they are showing all of us up with this this scoreline at a halftime. It's very, very exciting.
Yeah, this is awesome. And this always happens at the beginning of a season as well. You feel like you've got a read on a team, and then they upset you. Dante's going to come back in for KSF here. And I think that makes sense with the map that we're going to be heading towards too, because on the other side, we also have Suna coming in for Naga. Now, both of these are the Tracer players for their team. I think that we're going to see probably mirrored Tracer fights between Suna and Dante, which will be a great chance to really see how good Suna is when it comes to that kind of role, the specialist role on his team, like the coaches have talked about on the Eternal, because we're heading into Volskaya, and most of the time people are either playing the ball, like Ashe, Tracer, Zen kind of compositions, or they're playing the double bubble here. Either way, a lot of Tracer being played.
Yeah, Volskaya definitely suits those kind of play styles. It'll be interesting to see how the Paris Eternal do, because they clearly seem definitely favored when it comes to the rush compositions. This is a team that has put so much time into that sort of aspect of the game, and we may be moving towards some different compositions now on Volskaya Industries. The Houston Outlaws, you know, this is a team that there's always the danger as well, is that when you end up taking down one of the bigger teams like the Shock, suddenly you're a team that typically over the course of this franchise's history has never really had a target on their back. They've never really, you know, been regarded as a team that, you know, you've got to prep heavily for to the same extent as some of the other top teams. But now they've come into this season swinging, and it does add that element of, okay, well, the Paris Eternal are definitely not going to be underestimating you at all, especially given how important each individual match is as well across the seasons. Less games means each individual match is more important. It's definitely shaping up to be an interesting one.
Certainly is. Let's see whether they're able to get it done here. This map is going to be interesting to just see what level the Paris Eternal are at. What level are the individual players at? Like I say, I keep returning back to this Tracer duel, but that is incredibly interesting to me. We've seen Suna in the Overwatch League before, but we've never seen the best of Suna. The way that the Paris coaches talk about him, he's a very accomplished Tracer. We haven't been able to see that in matches yet. So I'm looking for a demonstration. And he's up against a formidable opponent here too in Dante.
Oh yeah. Dante regarded as potentially one of the best Tracers in the league at times. Yep. See the Winston engage comes through. They're just trying to deny away the high ground, but immediately the Houston Outlaws recognize, okay, that's our turn. We're going to dive into the backline here. And they're rewarded with it as well. A couple of picks off onto Neptuno, onto Onigod. Dan as well, he's been caught out behind enemy lines.
Yeah, and that engage to me from Paris implies that they are not quite as aware of Houston of what they need to do to safely escort their backline in through these choke points. This composition, despite looking like a dive comp, is actually pretty slow-paced. You know, you can use the Winston and the Zarya just to be able to establish space, and instead Dan is leaping really deep and opening up these opportunities for Django to go on counter dives. In with Dante. Django slept though, and there's the Bionade. This could be a decent punish.
Yeah, Django in a bit of trouble here. Dante's got to try and cause some havoc in the back lines just to distract. You can see Dan taking a ton of damage, and look at that. Going to be instantly going down. And you are right, Josh, your description of this kind of composition, the way it's played. You know, people associate the dive comp with speed, aggression, but it's very much a slow kind of war of attrition almost, and trying to gain up map control slowly by, you know, jumping in with your Winston, using that to buy you a bit of time.
Until the ultimates are online, right? And then it's go time. Happy's been slept up towards the back, and there was a pulse bomb there as well. Didn't actually manage to result in a kill. And Dan has taken the nano boost.
Yeah, the nano boost is going to be massive here. Sooner as well with the pulse bomb on the back line. Django trying to clutch it up with his primal rage, but look at Dan, he's getting so much work done here. Definitely open things up here for the team. The Paris Eternal with a great idea of how they wanted to engage into that one. Nano boost applied, kept him alive. Dan was a huge threat that you either try and peel away from, ignore, or you're just going to be taking the damage and you're going to be losing the team fight.
Yeah, Paris looking a lot better once the ultimates were online. They had a decent idea of what they wanted to do with the nano and then the primal to be able to engage. Didn't really see the same level of coordination from Houston there. Perhaps because they were focused on peeling for Happy, had the aggression come in towards him. He was sleeping up on the upper deck. But now Houston are going to be able to defend this one. They've got the grab available. It's normally good for being able to use as a defensive ultimate. But that Bionade is also huge. A 4-man bio into the back.
Okay, Piggy going for the grab. He recognizes they can split it up. The bubble goes down as well to split the healing. And Elevote is no more. Right clicks come through. Not much charge for Piggy. Happy getting slept up as well out of the Deadeye dance. Still being...
Wow.
Again, nuisance in the backline, but he's slept up, stunned up, destroyed. Now they can potentially clean up a couple of these stragglers as they're trying to exit out of this team fight. The heals are there though, so Paris are going to be able to escape without losing anyone else.
Yeah, and I was saying that the grab is a very good defensive tool. Paris Eternal there tried to engage. They popped their rally, and Houston realized, Piggy realized, all right, this is them trying to push in. So if I can find one pick, even if we just solo grab and destroy Elevote, trying to push in 5v6 is going to be really hard for Paris, especially with the spawn disadvantage that they have. Now Paris, though, the important thing that they have online is that nano boost and the Primal Rage, which is going to be active. So Dan can play really aggressive. Crimzo and Juby are about to be under immense pressure here.
Nanaboost is available for Crimzo. He's just holding on to it. Nice sleep from Bob, so it's no longer going to be a trouble for them. Grav comes up. He's going to be connecting, and look at this. The engage! What is that? Setting up with the pulse bomb. Sooner bursting through them. And it felt like the Houston Outlaws, they were taking that a little bit too relaxed. Weren't ready for the threat of the Paris Eternal. They were not ready for that Grav. Sooner in the right place for it as well. Finds the kill onto Dante, and only a couple of players now left. Just trying to stall this one up. They still have the Nanaboost if they can apply it maybe. The Boostio comes up. Juby has to try and stall this one out for his team. It's going to be difficult for them still. Sooner in the back line now. Crimzo in trouble. Anti-nade goes off. So Sooner has to recall out of there. Trying to find this kill onto Crimzo. He's desperately searching for it. Crimzo doing a good job to just buy time. With the rest of Outlaws coming through, they should be falling. Grav though, he's going to be collecting onto a couple of targets. And the rally now as the Paris Eternal try to close this one out. Onigod moving over to the Soldier as well, running back in. Django just buying as much time as possible with the Primal. And Onigod, with that consistent damage from afar, is getting all the picks necessary. Piggy going to be eating up the pulse bomb. He's not going to be having that access to them. Houston Outlaws doing a very good job of buying as much time as possible, but it's on the precipice right now as the kills are still flooding in for the Paris Eternal.
That's it, they're going to close it out. The Paris Eternal there had a really nice engagement. I'm not going to talk too much about, you know, them picking up all of the players towards the end as Houston desperately tried to stall longer and longer. But Paris's first initial fight, they nano-boosted Dan, and I expected him to go for the backline. Crimzo, Juby. That's what you would normally see from this type of comp. Instead, he went for Happy. He pushed Happy, he pushed him back to a point where he wasn't able to do any damage. He even primaled him afterwards, and that actually drew the supports forwards here. You can see Dan on the point. He's actually nano-boosted and primal rage, and he kills Happy. This drags the supports forward because Django's under pressure as well, so they want to keep healing everybody else. And that slow-paced offense baits Crimzo and Juby into a Grav Pulse Bomb combo. Really nice idea from the Paris Eternal. They are clearly have come into this game with a lot of great ideas of the kind of set plays they want to go for. And the team has a vision. Looks like we might be going to a pause here quickly, as Dan says, pause please, internet bad, which, you know, I can relate to be honest. But yeah, I am impressed with how the Paris Eternal are playing, to be honest. This is a structured team. This is a team that knows their objectives, knows how to play the composition. And that can really be the difference maker. It's not so much about how good your players are, it's about how well you think on the same wavelength and act together.
It really is, yeah. Honestly, I think an astounding improvement as well from one day to the next for the Paris Eternal as a team. And a large part of this as well is that these players are hungry. You've got a lot of players that have been kind of some in the league for a while, some with short stints in the league, but not really getting the respect I think that they deserve, I think. Onigod as well is one of those examples I think of that really didn't get a great showing in the Overwatch League, I think. Yeah, he had some great moments when he was playing on Dallas, but overall the guy left with a lot to prove. And this is an opportunity for them. A lot of these guys, I think, as well, because Europe as a region, on top of that, is always a region that generally, in Overwatch, people tend to forget about a bit. And they've always had capable players. They've always had capable talent. But this is their opportunity to showcase that on the big stage. And yeah, you know, you get exceptions like Kevster coming in every now and then. But overall, these players are coming into this hungry, with an opportunity now to take down one of the top teams. Of course they're going to be taking that. Of course they're going to be doing the prep work.
That hunger to win is going to be vital for Paris as they play against all odds up to the level of the Houston Outlaws in this game. The time bank they managed to finish with as well is tasty. A minute and 48 seconds is nothing to scoff at. Now Houston are forced to set a similar kind of time for themselves. Onigod is going to be the danger man up on the Ash.
Okay, counter dive comes through by Dan. Did you notice that? Actually, the big Bionade actually catches onto Happy and Crimzo here. And I think they wanted to try and punish Dan. The bubble was saved by Django to try and go for the counter dive onto Dan. Not able to get the kill. Still, they've gained a bit of space now. You can see them, again, moving in from the side. Khan on the off angle. He's going to be able to send in these Bionades flying. Django falling very low because of it. And it's an even fight. The Paris Eternal on the defense. Just need to clean up a couple of these players. If they get one more, could be looking pretty solid for them.
The pick onto Elevo is going to give Houston an opportunity. You can see now Dante is flanking around the right-hand side, playing the objective. He's getting set up for a dive with Django at some point here. Taken out, actually. That's a crucial pick. That relieves so much of the pressure for Paris. Suna's the man.
Yeah, and Suna, I think, has been showcasing as well. A lot of the hype coming into this guy on Tracer. Definitely not the norm. I think the coaching staff in particular have been speaking so highly of this guy. Another player, Suna as well, by the way, who really didn't have a great showcase in the Overwatch League. And definitely the redemption here on the Paris Eternal. This really does feel like this ragtag group of gamers, a real underdog story. Now the dive attempts come through again as they're traded out. Django has been nano boosted up, but eventually woken up out of it. It's just trying to build up that primal rage.
Let's coordinate.
As the nano fades, so does his damage reduction. Has to get out of there.
And essentially, the fight has been sent back to the same position, except for that pick. Dante getting onto Tsuna, a counter dive into the back from the Paris Eternal again. Darn quicker to be able to get his primal rage up. That might be a necessity. Great bash there. Fantastic from Neptuno to be able to catch Dante.
And these dive setters by Houston are just being broken apart. The one piece that they need every now and then just going down. Whether it's the kill onto Dante or stopping Django with a sleep dart. Still, the Houston Outlaws are pressing forward now with a tick on the board, with the Paris Eternal looking now to push forward even further. The rally is online. It's going to give the backline a lot of defense. It's hard to try and break through that. Sooner with the pulse bomb in hand as well, just waiting for Elevo to try and build up this grab, maybe combo this again. Primal Rage off the edge! Okay, Onigod had to sprint there, but Django does collect the kill onto Neptuno, unable to save himself. The sleep dart comes through, the grab connecting onto two targets. Traded out even now with the pulse bomb, but it's still looking better for the Houston Outlaws. They managed to just about grind through that win. And I think you can definitely see, at least from this first section of Volskaya, there's no better showcase, I think, of how this comp really works. You know, the pulling, the tugging of back and forth between using ultimates, using resources, and just trying to slowly gain that map control, setting yourselves up for a favorable fight.
Yeah, and Houston are great at it. They're actually really structured in terms of how they take that map control. And now they've got an opportunity to try and convert. Dante's not going to have a pulse bomb, so no big finisher for Piggy's grab, sorry. But they can try and push in with this rally, get a bit of space over the objective.
This is really brutal.
Early on. And Dan is so weak.
Dan is so weak because Happy was putting in consistent damage. Dan actually poked his head out early on, fell to half HP, couldn't counter-engage. So nothing is stopping the Houston Outlaws from just rolling over them now. Only a couple of players left. Neptuno trying to stall it out. He got the nano boost, but not good enough. And honestly, if you ask me, the difference maker there, I mean, I already called it out in a fight, but Happy chunking Dan down to half HP meant that he couldn't engage. Nothing was there to stave off and stop the aggression from the Houston Outlaws. They realized he can't stop us. We can just full commit into this fight, and it pays off tremendously.
Yeah, and that tickle damage that you would like to apply onto the team as they're approaching just gets eaten up by Juby's rally as well. So Houston there with... It almost looked too easy for them, to be honest. I don't feel like you should usually be able to close out Volskaya B with just a single rally to be able to get to the objective. Paris needed to apply a little more resistance there, but like you said, when you're playing up against Happy, it's easier said than done. He's gonna bend off your long-range hit scan, bend off your Tracer, do poke damage to your Winston. Happy's a beast. He's been excellent last year playing in the APAC region, and now all of the North American fans are getting to witness it as well.
They really do have some great mixture of players on the Houston Outlaws, I think. Just one of the mixed rosters as well. It's always hit and miss on whether or not it's going to work, but I mean, the Houston Outlaws behind the scenes as well, they've got some fantastic coaches with a great amount of work already done in this as well. And we'll see now, as the Paris Eternal, obviously they have less time to work with as we go for round 2, I suppose, on Volskaya. And we'll see what their approach is like as well. Typically, both of these teams have been spending a lot of time to try and essentially get into a good position on point A. This conference requires it almost. The counter engage comes through, you can see the Houston Outlaws. Django just wants to control this choke point up, stay alive as the bubbles laid down. They're trying to counter engage on him, Dan falling so low. Neptuno is the one that goes down though. Stray shots from Happy at an off angle, enough to bring him down, and that might just end this push entirely. The Paris Eternal cannot afford to lose any more players.
Yeah, look how active Chengdu is, jumping on top of that truck every time, doing damage to the backline. And it offers them an opportunity to try and punish Dan as well, because he's then jumping in without the support of his supports. Dan's going to jump up on this high ground as well. That's a little better positioning, I think. Allows his backline to be escorted in. Crimzo's been slept in the meantime, though. Woken up for a moment there. And now we just see Dante and Chengdu battling. Trying to fend off the Tracer. That was fantastic.
Oh my god. Suna with a 180 melee with the dash as well. Oh, he's finding so many opportunities. And that might just have cracked this one wide open. Post bomb comes through. Oh, why do we always catch these moments, Josh? Singing the praises of Suna, slipped into his own post bomb.
That was a fantastic sleep by Crimzo, though. You gotta give it
wow.
that.
They might be able to turn this.
Another one coming out onto Dan, too, while he's nano boosted up. Crimzo's just destroyed the Paris Eternal.
And Dante, remember, he's playing Tracer, so he can get back into the fight so quickly. Despite the fact that he lost this one, the Paris Eternal have got no bodies to chuck onto this point. Only a couple of seconds left, not enough. 86% is what they'll be working with now. That's where their win condition is, and that's what they're going to be fighting against as the Houston Outlaws aim to achieve better.
It's interesting the role of both of these Tracers. A lot of the time, Chengdu's trying to counter-dive the backline, which means Dante is either trying to help Chengdu or punish Dan. And Suna, rather than trying to help Dan or help his backline, Suna seems like he's on just shut down Dante duty. So I guess in that sense he is trying to help Dan, because he's peeling the Tracer away from him. But it really feels like Suna is gunning for Dante in these fights, and he did a great job of it. That 1v1 that he won at the end with the Blink melee to finish it off, that was really well played from Suna. And then he just gets dunked by Crimzo, who then sleeps Dan and ruins their entire push. I mean, we've got to see a replay of this again, man. We've got to.
This was so good, and he's like, yep, lay down the post. Boom! Oh, it's brutal, man. It's brutal. And it genuinely was a massive difference maker. If Suna hit that post bomb, potentially gets a pick onto one of the supports. Yes, Dante was coming in and he managed to clutch it up, but immediately they took care of the threat, and the supports just turned their focus entirely onto the front line.
Yeah.
Wow, what a ridiculous individual moment there from Crimzo, just styling on the opposition.
I love that. Those are the moments that I live for, cast in Overwatch. They're so good. All right, let's see what Houston can do on their offense again. They looked very structured but slow last time, but that's not a flaw. That's how this comp is supposed to work. Chengdu and Piggy, they tried to make sure that they held control of that truck, push Neptuno off. These are the same kind of things I'm expecting them to do again.
Okay,
this time, actually,
it looked like
for a really fast dive.
Wow, this is so smart. Adapting again, the adaptation coming out from the Houston Outlaws. Typically, Chengdu just jumps onto the hut, forces off the high ground, but instead they tried to set up a dive onto Khan, forced out the bubble early, and now they've got complete control. Look at this, Paris Eternal. They're corralled into the middle of the point, pushed into this position, and now the Houston Outlaws can just dive onto them. Onigod trying to clutch it up as he collects the kill onto Dante, but it's just a matter of time. No more self-personal bubble here for Elevote. He's got to back off here, and Piggy, 100 charge is a very scary thing indeed. Beaming down, so much damage being working with here, cleaving through them, and the Houston Outlaws, with no one left standing, they're going to be able to claim their reward. Taking away map 3 in this series, Volskaya Industries will be going their way.
And it's not like it was a bad performance at all from Paris. They had their moments. That first round of offense looked good from them, but Houston just understand this comp better. They know how to play it. Chengdu and Piggy, the way that they rotate around on the map, and actually the coordination between Chengdu and Dante in particular on that final offensive round. The pressure on Khan was enormous. He got flattened. He got pressured, had to drop down to the mega room, and then Dante was pressuring him again with another Chengdu leap to control the pace of the gameplay. Really well played, with Houston showing that they can play slow or quickly.
I've got a good news for you if you are a Paris fan as well, as we head to the other side of the break. The next map coming up will be King's Row. It's a rush map. This is what Paris Eternal love to play. So there's opportunity here for a map 5. Some more Overwatch League action coming up on the other side. Don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Overwatch League, and welcome back to this series as well. I mean, it's shaping up to be a pretty spicy one, I think. The Houston Outlaws currently leading by one map. It's 2-1 in the series thus far, but so far we've seen the strongest signs out of Paris when we can see the rush composition, and I kind of teased it up a little bit, but the next map we're going to be going to is going to be King's Row, a rush map through and through. The map has such a history when it comes to playing those Reinhardt based compositions, and it could be the real turning point now for the Paris Eternal to even things up.
They looked good when it came to Havana, right? They actually looked like they were able to go toe-to-toe against the Houston Outlaws. So I don't see a reason why this would be a map where Paris wouldn't be able to take it away. They're going to be practiced here. They're going to have an idea of what they want to run. And to be honest, that was the same situation as it was on Volskaya too. It's just that Houston had a better understanding of how to play that particular composition. We're going to see Naga be substituted back in again for Suna, which of course plays into this idea that they're going to be playing Rush. So Naga's in to play the May here for them.
Yes, and this is where the Paris Eternal are comfortable at the end of the day. It's where I think a composition that requires, don't get me wrong, it requires coordination, but typically teams don't like to split their focus between running different comps and trying to prioritize it. They'd rather just play one standard one and see if they can play it across a variety of maps. And, you know, only really the best teams are able to kind of effectively split their practice into playing multiple comps. But we've seen players on the Houston Outlaws really performing as well on a variety of positions. Crimzo making it work, as you can see here, is Anna and Volskaya was just really separating above a lot of the other players in the league. The guy, I think, has been drastically underrated over the course of his career. I never really given an opportunity to shine, but now on the Houston Outlaws, you can finally see what this guy is made of.
And he spoke to it at the beginning of the season. He said to us, I think he was talking to the Watchpoint guys, and he said, I know that my flex support isn't the best in the world right now, but I think I can get there. And this season is about him proving that. And if he continues to have performances like he's had recently, he's gonna get there. He's gonna have this reputation as one of the top flex supports that we have in the league. 5 enemies slept for 10 minutes, minimizing his deaths to an incredibly low amount. These are all really important things if you're playing an Ana within that composition. And more so than the stats, he's just positioned really well. He doesn't get caught out by teams when they're going too aggressive. He's always got the perfect defensive rotations. It's a sign of a good flex support that's really fast to learn and has a good coaching staff behind him as well. Now, Jake's been playing a lot of these same type of roles. I'm sure he's been working with both Crimzo and Juby to get them even better at their current roles. And I think we sometimes forget, Junkbuck is behind this team as well. The former coach of the San Francisco Shock, or one of the parts of the coaching staff on the San Francisco Shock, after they were able to win championships there. So, yeah, this is the structure behind Houston has massively elevated this year compared to previous.
As you can see from the lower third as well, the May Melee West region knockout's going to be starting next Sunday. That's right, we're already getting into the playoff action as well for the first tournament for the May Melee, and it's a must-win, honestly, for both of these teams. Currently, the Houston Outlaws, as you can see at the top of your screens, 2-0. That's their current series record. The Paris Eternal 1-0. It'll be a big win for either of these teams. They're looking to take it away to really just lock in a good seed moving forward into that competition.
Well, there you saw the rookie and the veteran staring at each other through the glass. You got Juby straight out of college and the 29-year-old Neptuno on Lucio for both of these teams. And Houston have speeded straight through Hotel.
Wow, look at that. Immediately only got into the off angle as well. He's put in so much damage, the counter charge, as Dan's going to be falling. Dan, nobody can follow up on this one, but a fire strike, clearing a bit of the way as well through Hotel. Shadow comes in from the side. Beautiful timing with the block there. The shields are not going to be letting him get away with murder this time. Happy beaming it down as well as Khan tried to jump his way out of there, but the tracking was just elite. And the Houston Outlaws, with speed and aggression, are going to be bursting their way through this first checkpoint on King's Row.
Really well played by the Houston Outlaws, and a lot of that just excellent team coordination. They have a plan of where they want to go, how they want to path around the map, and everybody's on the same page. Another thing to point out, again, Houston are running this Reinhardt Sigma composition, but they're playing it with pace. And I think that really separates it from the other teams that have tried to run this. We've seen the Vancouver Titans try and run this. We've seen the Florida Mayhem. At the moment, Houston look like they have the best ideas, especially combining it with this Symmetra from Happy. The guy's tracking is outrageous.
That Matrix to try and break through the choke point here. Could be big. Sim Shield as well. Happy goes down. May have TP'd into the backline there, as the players are currently split all over the place, as Piggy falls as well. Paris Eternal holding strong, recognizing what the Houston Outlaws were going for, putting a stop to it nice and early, so they've got still a very good position, strong holding position at this initial choke point.
Yeah, you could see Crimzo put down his Amp Matrix deliberately on that area of the payload so that it could keep moving as the payload progressed and would always be in a good position. But then Piggy, yeah, I'm wondering whether he tried to teleport to the backline and use his flux, but he was on 95, 97%, something like that when he died. Here it comes, though.
Yeah, but here it comes. Gonna be just smashing him right down into the ground, into the blizzard, and it's a free setup for Dante. He's gonna be keeping them all locked into one position. And it should be easy pickings for the remainder of these players. Poor Elevo almost got charged as well. That would have been a brutal stagger. Eventually, you know, look at the player's face, everybody. Just look at that pain, suffering.
Yeah. All right, Houston are going to try and push forwards now again. They have another Amp Matrix in just a moment because Crimzo's building them up so quickly. They could try and push aggressively with this and see if Django can turn the fight with a Shatter, but they've got to be aware of Naga's Blizzard, which is... Oh, I thought they were going to C9 there and not touch the objective.
Close. Blizzard does come through though. The Immortality Field is keeping Django up. Sound Barrier laid up on top as well. He's still alive. Earth Shatter in the back is massive from Dan, but there's no follow-up still. The self-destruct will come through. It's a big bomb because it forces the positioning of the Houston Outlaws backwards, right into the choke point. It's exactly where Paris wants. They now have space and an area to control for the rest of this map. So have to play safe for the time being. They eat up a lot of this damage and they do stop the Houston Outlaws from pushing for now.
A much smarter play from Paris than we saw from them yesterday. When Dan gets a big Earth Shatter, instead of focusing on the players that were knocked to the ground, they bully Django, who's left alone with no support. That's really smart. That's how you take advantage of an Earth Shatter like that, rather than overextending and trying to get the picks in enemy territory. Look at Omega's positioning here. He wants to kill Happy. That would be a perfect pick.
It's a great shield from Piggy, actually. It stops the flashbang from connecting. Those high ground flashbangs, we've seen some really creative uses so far in the Overwatch League. Players are getting so good at how punishing it can be. The fight continues as the sim wall falls or drops down. It'll be interlocking May walls as well. Chaos on the point. What is that? Django connects onto 3 players, takes them down and sets him up now for the Gravitic Flux. Piggy surely going to be able to find some work with that one. The Immortality Field drops immediately as soon as it goes down, and the rest of the players will fall shortly afterwards. So the Houston Outlaws just combining their ultimates to power through that objective.
Something that I'm noticing is that Happy's teleports are immense. He's threatening so many teleports across the map. When Django has his ultimate up, when he has that Earth Shatter, Happy is like throwing his TP into the enemy lines, threatening that they could go for a teleport shatter at any point. And it gives Django this mental advantage over Dan because he's always worried about where Django could be coming from. And that time, just straight under the payload, bringing enormous results.
Yeah, seeing the evolution of the game right before our very eyes. Our Matrix is ready, waiting online now into the Blizzard as well. Might not be a follow-up for this one. Going to be keeping these players up and alive. Onigod trading it out, trying to prolong it for them. Django falling very low. Going to be taking the TP, but he's going to get healed up by the rest of his team now. But Onigod again, the Deadeye from afar, coming back off. The Houston Outlaws are being like, okay, well, we might not be able to push this anymore.
Yeah, they're going to back off, but look at Piggy's positioning all the way up there. Ooh, he got booped nearly into the pit, actually, by Elevo, but Piggy's able to stay alive. He gets into these advanced positions. I mean, he could do it by fluxing, but the most common way that he's doing it is by Happy's teleports. And again, the Houston Outlaws take an unconventional position for a rush composition.
And it's so powerful. Piggy on the high ground. Nobody can really contest him. Elevo has to go up there. But ideally, he wants to be spending and focusing his time and attention on the front line of the Houston Outlaws so they can't get away with murder. Simwall now going to be coming through. Blizzard as well. It's going to be connecting onto a couple of these players now, but the sound barrier is traded out, and it gives Piggy a free Gravitic Flux into the Earth Shatter as they are all the way into the back line. Still a winnable scenario for the Paris Eternal. They just need to focus down their targets, and Crimzo is very, very low from on high. Iceblock now going to be buying them a bit of time here. It could be a critical one here for Naga, as he's able to just stave off this aggression a lot of the time, but Juby winning out a lot of these 1v1s. He's still in the back line. The shadow from Dan just to try and stall it out, buy his team a little bit of time to come back in here, but he's eventually overwhelmed, and the Houston Outlaws rolling it in. Let's take a listen in at the Houston Outlaws comms after that one.
Oh my god, he's so weird. He just hiding with me. Like.
Okay. Are we going Creedium or I forget?
I think
So there we go. Cutting it off before you can hear all the juicy strategy. But
yeah. But in that final fight, I think that was Juby that was talking at the end there. I haven't had the pleasure of meeting him in person since we've all been locked inside our houses due to the pandemic. But I think that was Juby talking about Onigod catching him with a Deadeye towards the end. But more than that, Juby was able to get into the... They went for a teleport shatter play again. So Happy put down his teleporter, Django went towards the backline with a couple of other players and tried to flank shatter them. It didn't work out, but Juby was left towards that back area fighting against Onigod and Khan, and he killed them both. He's just jumping around, flying around the walls, and sure, other people were contributing with damage, but Juby was right up in their face, stopping them from being able to have impact in the fight, and was actually able to deliver the final blow too. That's enormous value from your Lucio player. Houston Outlaws support line. The more and more that I watch them, the more I'm appreciating them as well. These guys were a bit of a question mark for me. Juby's come straight out of collegiate, remember? He hasn't even been playing on a high-level team before this particularly. And yet, he looks pretty damn good.
And you can already see the benefits of the structure of the Houston Outlaws. You've got Jake as well, who's going to be focusing on the individuals for a lot of these players. And Juby can be molded into this player that ultimately is going to be performing alongside Crimzo as potentially one of the best. But holy smokes. Okay, Stray Arrows coming out, and Hangzhou being played on King's Row. That's another iconic duo right there. You can send in these Stray Arrows and you might just connect them onto a head and open things up right away. And off the back of that one pick, it's very difficult now for the Houston Outlaws to recontest this one, Josh, but they're certainly going to try.
They are. They're going to delay it as long as possible and try and stop just after the second tick was given. But with Dante already falling, and an early immortality field coming out from Crimzo, it doesn't look good for the Paris Eternal. Onigod gets another kill. And this May Hangzhou composition, it's what the Houston Outlaws pulled out themselves against the San Francisco Shock.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, and they're going to clean up the stragglers. Beautiful for the Paris
I actually
Eternal.
love this. I love the Hangzhou on this map. There's long sight lines at various portions to be able to get value out of the Hangzhou, but there's also good verticality. On point A, you can see different areas that Onigod could play around here as well. And then on point C too, you can just dominate that high ground in a way you can't really if you're playing McCree. This is part of the reason this comp is one big reason that Houston Outlaws were able to beat the Shock. What is their counter to it? Looks like Happy on the Doomfist.
You're going to see what Happy is capable of. Now, charging up the punch, blocked off by the ice wall, doesn't find any sort of targets, but the ultimates are traded out regardless. As you can see, Piggy committing the Gravitic Flux, but the Dragon trying to cut them off here. Don't believe it got too much done. Piggy falling quite low, but Django, I should say, going to be falling there to the Earth Shadow, but his team is peeling for him effectively. The Immortality Field was instant from Crimzo, keeping him alive. The punch, I don't think he meant to connect it down to Neptuno, but he took one for the team. The bomb comes in from Elevote, but it is the Houston Outlaws grinding it out away from the Paris Eternal here.
That's another one of those darn Earth Shatters that just isn't timed well in terms of the fight. All of the defensive tools are still available. Crimzo still has access to that Immortality Field. Dante still has his wall to be able to stop the aggression. There's no possible follow-up on it. And now we see Onigod moving away back to the McCree, because Houston have turned up the tempo with this May Doomfist composition. It puts a lot of pressure on Dan. Wall at his back, punch in the face. It's really hard to deal with. Happy has got to be... Oh, wow, he just called that fire strike in there as well. I thought Happy was about to get picked. Happy's got to be careful of Onigod. The poke damage is going to be enormous if they don't play quickly.
Okay, the Blizzard comes through, and Janggu will be frozen up. And look at this, the team is coming to help him out. Janggu caught out, but maybe they can trade it out onto the tank line. Happy in the back. Almost got the pick off there as a Khan as he took him out of range of the Immortality field. Soundbarrier to lead it back in. The Pirates Eternal do not want to be letting up whatsoever. Still, though, Happy is a threat as he collects the kill onto Neptuno, but eventually brought down himself. Houston got to collect themselves here. Got to rethink how they want to engage this one. They might be able to get a recontest at the final seconds. As the card's pushing in, Soundbarrier to engage. Piggy, again, another Gravitic Flux. Connects onto a lot of the targets straight into the Earth Shatter. Janggu comboing it once more. We've seen it so many times, but is it enough to seal the deal here? The players from the Pirates Eternal still trying to hold on for the time being, but they're backing up into the choke point, and they no longer have the positioning.
Great play from Janggu and Piggy again. I mean, that is the coordination. That's the reason why you try and pick up a tank line that have already played together in Contenders. Happy's still on this Doomfist, despite it not being the greatest compositional pick, depending on what Onigod is playing right now. But they're still trying to make it work. He has the ultimate available that he can try and play a bit more aggressively, and Onigod's Deadeye didn't really find too much there, didn't buy too much space.
Meteor Strike from the high ground, almost caught out Elevote there. As Elevote was demeching, might be able to get Onigod, indeed he does, but Pirates Eternal are still going strong. 3 picks for them. They're finding the advantages onto the point, but that Amp Matrix helped them out tremendously with the damage boost. And they do get the capture.
Happy change. I want to see Happy change. Okay, he does. He goes over to the McCree. That might be a couple of team fights too late, to be honest. Maybe he should have done that a little earlier, once Onigod had swapped over to the McCree. But now this combo's a little more nicely. We know how deadly his McCree is. Happy v Onigod, but instead Pirates Eternal are looking to try and get value out of Naga's Blizzard.
Should be quite easy to do as well. There's no Diva to try and eat it. So it goes straight onto the ground. The tank line is frozen up immediately. Piggy using the Gravitic Flux to try and turn it. And the Blizzard from Dante gets ate up immediately.
That's great. And Paris are just steamrolling this one in.
I don't think there's time here.
No, it looks like they're going to end with way more time on the clock too. Juby's coming in as a last-minute savior, but what more can he do?
Okay, the charge in from Janggu as well. He's going to swing. Going to be getting in a ton of damage. Surely not the Houston Outlaws coming off the respawns here. And Piggy again on the Wrecking Ball to stall it out. The Pirates Eternal being stopped once again.
I mean, I want to point to another player. A player that we've talked to the entire time. It's Crimzo. He comes out of spawn and just deletes Khan. That's all of the healing gone from the guys that are playing around the payload. That's such a pivotal kill. It looks like Dante does the work on Tracer, right? Because he cleans everybody up, but I feel like the real impact frag there is Crimzo killing the Batiste mirror.
Absolutely. Finding that opening as well. I mean, Juby as well, respect to him. Buying him a bit of time. He's giving him one extra team fight. The Earth Shatter connects again, and there was follow-up this time. Countered up here. Django's going to be caught out of position. Good defense matrix. Elevote's finally realized that Happy's on the high ground. It's going to be the D-Mech, self-destruct. Elevote needs to get back into his mech to help out the rest of his team, but it's too late. The Deadeye being built up. Happy realizes, okay, I'm very weak. Eventually going to get taken down here. This time it's Django's time on the ball. Don, solo once more, and he got off on the flank, off on the side, putting in a ton of work, a ton of pressure, and that consistent damage over time. Juby just going to be stalling out the cart for as long as he possibly can. Hard to take care of him, and the longer this gets, the more sketchy it becomes, because Houston, their spawners are coming back in. Another pile driver comes through, separating them off from the ice wall. Happy onto the Tracer as well, just trying to, essentially just trying to tickle away the rest of these players, putting in that chip damage, consistent over time, but Onigod gets taken down as well.
And this is a disaster for the Pirates Eternal. 2 team fights that they should have won, that they haven't been able to close out. In desperation, Naga invests his Blizzard, but I don't think it's going to be enough to turn this.
Oh, wow.
Yangoos just stays alive the whole time. Crimzo annihilating people from the backlines again. And Khan can't do the same, despite his reputation as a fragging presence in the backline. He's just getting harassed by Happy constantly. And Paris are going to be kicking themselves. That should never have failed. 2 team fights in a row that Houston steal away from them.
And this is do or die, 30 seconds. Remember, the Houston Outlaws, they win right here. That's the map, that's the series. They're going to be going ahead with another win under their belt. The Pirates Eternal cannot let this slip away from them. Immortality field I believe. Oh, the post one get 8 up. A Crimzo as well. Not going to be having his Immortality Field. He goes down to Naga as well. Elevo in the backline. No one's stopping them. It's looking like a very, very good win so far. Houston trying to clutch it up as the Self-Destruct comes through. The mines as well, pushing them all back, but nobody's dealing with Onigod. And again, that consistent damage from the Peacekeeper. Just, again, pumping in the damage, pumping in the lead. No one really dealing with him. Happy, he's just waving to his adversaries. Eventually brought down. Piggy on the Diva as well. They're going to be taken out. And as the overtime goes down, a bit of a chance for the Paris Eternal. They didn't finish with time, which was the crucial aspect. It means that the best they can hope for is a draw. But that's what you're taking at this point.
Yeah, beggars can't be choosers. They have got to go for it. A draw to push this series forward to keep Paris Eternal and their chances of having a great opening week. Paris, remember, they're already 1-0 right now, and the level that they've actually brought to this game was much higher than what they did yesterday as well. So, bit of opening day nerves. This is the proving point, though, for a roster like Paris, with so many rookie players. Naga, Dan, Khan, these three haven't played in the Overwatch League yet. They've been up towards the top of European contenders, but it's not like these... They come from a dynasty that's known for winning, that's known from pulling things back from the brink. When you go towards Objective C and you have minutes on the clock and you look like you should be able to close it all out and you can't, that rattles morale, that rattles people's mental. And Houston, they're looking to capitalize on that.
Of course, and we saw how quickly they took point A last time. They only need but a tick, that's it. A minute 30. Think about the amount of team fights that they're going to be able to take as well in that amount of time as the doors open up. See what they can do. Again, the TP play, not wasting any time, immediately coming out. They want to be trying to take this fight, moving their way through the hotel, forcing
exactly the same
Paris Eternal. Paris are going to be careful here. It's pick and choose their engagement timings very well. One slip up and it's going to be brutal for them. The high ground. TP comes up. Onigod being forced out by the turrets here. Clever placement, almost slowing him down. Almost being his downfall here. But look at this, the positioning has rotated around and the wards have gone up. And it's time to clash now for both of these teams. Ice block is forced out there by Naga. Again, neither side trying to really overstep themselves. Another TP, it's finally off cooldown. A couple of the players are going to be trying to split them up now as they're pushing them off from the high ground. The wall comes up. Ice wall, potentially an opportunity for them now. And there we go, Django falls. But Elevo overstepping himself ever so slightly, taken out internally. And now, with Dante going down as well, the Amp Matrix on top of it. Happy, if he stays alive, might be able to get a pick or two. It's a chaotic fight. It's split all over the damn place. Dan with the Earth Shatter, connects onto Happy, takes him out. 20 seconds remaining, Josh.
That's a fantastic play. Paris are being mentally resilient here as well. They know that they probably should have won here on King's Row when it came to their offense, and instead they're making it work on defense. Only a couple of seconds left for Houston to get to the point. The flux could be huge from Piggy. They're going to use that to initiate.
Piggy using his own shield as well with the flux. It's going to be connecting, and it's going to be counteracting the sound barrier that comes out afterwards. But look how low Dan is. So one swing into him, and he's going to be falling. The sim wall is too much to overcome. Django with the Earth Shatter as well. Only a last-ditch effort from the Paris Eternal, but it is far too little to overstand here as the Houston Outlaws going to be taking this map and winning the series 3-1.
That was close. The Houston Outlaws are going to be brushing a bead of sweat from their brow, I feel. Coming off the back of their win against the San Francisco Shock, expectations were that they would have a comfortable win in this series. 3-1, it looks comfortable on paper, but that isn't really how the map's played out. Houston, they looked in control of the first, but after that, Paris had their opportunities to come in and win here. That just makes me excited for the level that Paris could bring. This looks like a team that isn't going to be a pushover by any means. They had good understanding of how to play the rush comps. Some decent understanding of how to play the double bubble compositions as well. But Houston Outlaws, they've survived and they keep that perfect record intact.
And I think the expectations coming into this series as well that it was going to be an easy win for the Houston Outlaws. definitely was the opposite of that. I mean, Houston have got to be sweating off the back of this, and I completely agree with your sentiment here, Josh. It just means that we've got one more team in North America, the Paris Eternal, to worry about as being a contender, I think, for a lot of these other teams. Probably were expecting that them, you know, might have been coming into this a bit of a free win. You know, the schedule was looking kind of easy, but they definitely put up a fight. However, not enough to overtake the Houston Outlaws. They also were the winners, and as we take a look at our player of the match presented by Xfinity, I mean, we've been bigging this guy up all series long. It's got to go to Crimzo. I think the timing with the Immortality fields, the consistent damage, the clutch moments, picking off players in these overtimes. It's a lot of it coming from Crimzo. And a guy who, honestly, a lot of people weren't talking about last year has definitely come into this year showcasing what he's made of.
Yeah, this is his year. This is his breakout year. And Crimzo knows that. I mean, this play was just fantastic. But it wasn't just this one. He had so many moments in the backline when it comes to playing the Batiste or playing the Ana, where he was able to have enormous impact as that flex support. And the whole of the Houston Outlaws team is excellent. We've talked at length about how good their tank line synergy was. Happy is the player that they're all pocketing to try and get massive damage output from, especially when he plays the Symmetra. But a perhaps underrated component of Houston so far has been this backline. The expectations for Juby, we didn't really know what to think of him. And the expectations for Crimzo were just going to be, yeah, he's pretty decent. But he's really leveled up. The better this teamwork gets, the better that he gets as well. And I really feel like he's on path to becoming that top flex support that he wants to be in 2021.
Yep, shave the head, new year, new me. You know, did you find that you got better at the game when you shaved your head?
No, I never found anything like that. I've tried many different things to get better at the game. None of them have worked.
Sure.
But, you know, shaving your head, not a bad idea. I saw the match chat actually earlier on, just before we started the game. Crimzo was just having some friendly banter with the other team, and he said, yeah, I'm having an all right day, but my teammates, they keep bullying me. They keep calling me Melonhead. So I mean, that's internal strife within the Houston camp, perhaps.
Yep, schisms. People going to be using that in their betting odds and all sorts, you know. Oh, is Houston falling apart? Who knows? Who knows? Anyway, doesn't matter. Obviously joking and in jest. But we've got an interview now. Danny Lim, I believe, has Django, so we can hear all about that match, how it happened. Take it away, Danny.
Brett and Josh, thank you very much. Everybody, welcome to Game Break presented by Pringles. We're joined here now by Django from Houston Outlaws. Django 선수, 안녕하세요.
안녕하세요. Hello.
All right, let's jump right into the question. And Django says hello, everybody. All right, so first question is, how was your transition from a full Korean team to a mixed roster? How's that been for you? 일단 첫 번째 질문은요. 짱구 선수 일단 컨텐더스에서는 이제 좀 이렇게 다 한국 선수 로스터로 이렇게 쭉 있다가 이번에 휴스턴으로 오면서 좀 다국적 팀으로 이렇게 옮기시게 됐는데 좀 그 옮기는 과정 좀 힘들거나 뭐 그러진 않았나요?
좀 일단은 제가 한국에 있을 때는 그 영어도 잘 못하고 해서 리그 테스트를 많이 볼 때 영어로도 많이 힘들었고 그랬었는데 그 여기 오고 나서도 영어 때문에 지금도 어느 정도는 힘들게 있지만 그래도 처음 왔을 때보단 나아져서 그래도 어느 정도는 소통이 된다고 생각해요.
When I first joined the team, or when I was taking the test to come into the league, because my English is very limited and I had difficult times speaking English. It was pretty hard, and even after I came into the Houston Outlaws, my English hasn't improved that much, so I am still having a little bit of difficult time. But compared to back when I first started with Houston Outlaws and compare that to now, I am improving a lot, so it's getting a lot better. All right, so second question is actually about the game. We've seen you guys, Houston Outlaws, play a lot of Symmetra today. Why is that? 일단 두 번째 질문은요, 이제 마지막 질문인데 이번 오늘 경기에서 좀 휴스턴 팀이 시메트라를 좀 많이 좀 사용을 하신 것 같아요. 그거에 대한 좀 이유를 좀 알 수 있을까요?
그거는 상대 팀이 러쉬를 많이 쓴다는 걸 알고 있어가지고 좀 상대 라인을 좀 힘들게 하려고 그 심해를 좀 뽑았던 것 같아요.
Alright. The reason why we used Symmetra often in today's series was because we knew that coming into today's match, Paris was going to use a lot of rush comps. And so we sort of wanted to utilize Symmetra to sort of annoy the enemy teams, right? And that is the reason why we used Symmetra. All right, that's it for the post-match interview. 짱구, thank you so much and congratulations on your win and good luck on your next one. 자, 짱구 선수 오늘 인터뷰 너무 감사드리고요. 승리 한번 다시 한 번 더 축하드립니다. 감사합니다.
네, 감사합니다. Thank you.
All right, everybody, let's head back to the desk.
Thank you so much, Danny, and of course, Django. Once again, congratulations to the Houston Outlaws. They are improving their streak to a 3-0. Let's take a quick look at today's schedule to see what awaits you next. We're going to have the Boston Uprising, a first look at that team, and they will face off against the LA Gladiators, who finally got their first win on the board. And we're going to end the day with the Washington Justice and the Dallas Fuel clashing. Now, as I said, the Houston Outlaws, they are staying undefeated, and they're improving their score to a 3-0. What a great opening for them into this season. Now, both of you have actually been complimenting the Outlaws quite a bit in all of their recent games about their ability to peel back. Why are their disengages so impressive to you, Costa?
Just the way they're playing as a team is one of the best in the league right now. They are, I don't know if it's the addition of Piggy and Django and their communication of what they need and the help that they need, but it's just insane. We saw a crazy, assist from Piggy with an accretion to kill Onigod on Havana. That was incredible, but just everything across the board. I also want to give a special shout out to Juby on that Lucio. He saved them from getting capped on like 3 or 4 times throughout this entire series. And that allowed the Houston Outlaws to catch up, take their breath, and then really re-engage and get those wins. But I do want to give a special shout out to Paris Eternal as well. They were way better than I expected and a lot of people expected. They took it to the Houston Outlaws, one of the better teams that we have in the league. So lots of eyes on the Paris Eternal looking forward because that was a lot of great showings from a lot of individual pieces.
Yeah, and I do think that they actually do look much improved if we compare it to their games we saw against the Vancouver Titans, which was more of a, moving forward kind of brawl. In this case today, they actually took their engagements a little bit more calculated. So that was a good look. Now, moving on to our next game of the day, we're going to see the Gladiators again. And they, as I said before, finally got their first victory in the bag as well. Reinforce, now that they got the